Hello, everyone. Woohoo! Hey, at least one said hi. Hey, what's your name? Aaron. Thank you for coming, Aaron. Thank you for pizzas. So we'll start in a minute. If people can find spots, sitting down. If there are not enough, oh, there's also chairs here if people need. Great. Don, here you go.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming out tonight. My name's Dawn and I'm the program coordinator here at Galvanize. So I just have a couple of questions for you guys. Can you please raise your hands if you are a data scientist in the room? Awesome. Can you raise your hand if you're just interested in data science or looking to go into the field? Perfect. Please raise your hand if this is your first time here at Galvanize. Awesome, well welcome, and welcome back to those who've already been here. So I just want to briefly let you know what Galvanize is. Galvanize is a learning community for technology that brings together students, startups, and established companies. So the reason why I'm standing up here, barely, is because I wanted to let you guys know if you're interested in any programs here, specifically the data science immersive programs. We have our 12-week immersive program and our accredited year-long master's program. So if any of you are interested in discussing further or looking to check it out, please feel free to reach out to me, Dawn. I left some of my business cards and pamphlets up at the front desk. You can also just Google search Galvanize and check out our website. So yeah, thank you all for your time, and I'm going to hand it over to the moderator, Andrew Burgert.
Thank you. Thank you, Dawn. Great, thank you. So nice to see familiar faces, and that we continue to push the conversational industry forward, all of us, so thank you for attending. We've been doing these events, trying to do events on a regular basis every month on different topics. We always welcome ideas of topics or companies that want to present, conversational apps that want to present at events, tooling, infrastructure, frameworks. So please reach out if there's something interesting that you want to share with the community. And today we'll focus on data, analytics, decisions. As any new platform evolves, we need to make decisions and new interfaces and understand what's going on behind the scenes. It happened in web, it happened in mobile, and now we need to pay attention to what goes on behind the scenes with chatbots. And for that reason, we were fortunate enough to invite 3 companies to participate: Botanalytics, Dashbot, and Botmetrics. And what is the hashtag that we'll use?
Bot Day Meetup.
Okay. O'Reilly also is organizing a Bot Day conference in October as a one-day conference. We have a free ticket for anyone here that wants to attend that conference. And after thinking how we should assign that free ticket, we came up with an idea, which is the following. You have to tweet, and I will give you the hashtag. We will collect those tweets for 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll randomly, we have a system that will randomly pick a tweet, and that person will get a free ticket to O'Reilly's Bot Day conference in October. Does that sound good? Yeah? Okay, that's good. So you need to tweet that you want to go to the conference. And the hashtag, you have your phones ready? The hashtag that we will tag is...
So is it like first come, first serve basis?
No, not first come, first serve. It's random. After 2 to 3 minutes, we'll randomly pick one. The hashtag is Bot Day Meetup, all together. BOTDAY Meetup, all together. So what we'll do is after 2 to 3 minutes, we'll collect the tweets, and randomly the system will pick a tweet. It is a random Some people believe there's no true randomness if you read a lot about chaos, but randomly we'll pick a tree from a system, not a human. So we'll start with demos on the analytics products, and then we'll spend time discussing decisions that need to be made, questions from the audience. So why don't we start? Thank you. And please introduce yourself and your company.
Yeah. Hey everyone, I'm the co-founder of Botanalytics, the CEO, and thank you for coming. Let's get to them.
What should I say? Interested in the conference?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Botanalytics, we are doing analytics and engagement solutions for chatbots, and at this page you are seeing the dashboard. And this dashboard, it's a quick, it gives you such quick snapshot for your chatbot. And in here, it shows total messages in here, and you are seeing some up and downs and the graphs of your total messages in here, and it's the growth score in there, 5% there, and you're seeing total conversations in here, and average conversation per user, and the average conversation starts per user. Actually, we will move on the concepts of average conversation per user and average conversation steps per user, because they are so important to determine your engagement, right? And it's the total, it's your total users and the total sent messages and the total received messages right there. And the last one is the average session length of your user. Actually, this gives you a quick snapshot, and every day of you can look at it. It gives you such quick information about your chatbot. No need to get full pages, just get the snapshot. And below there, you are seeing the most common phrases of your users that you use in your bot and the most active parts. So let's move on to the conversation page. Conversation page is so important, actually. You have to dive deep to your conversations, and you have to enhance your conversation flow to give great support to your users. So here is the recent conversations of your bot, and this is the last message of that user. It's thanks, and the first scene of that user is 20 April, and the last scene of that user is 20 May. And the total number of conversations in here is 3. And the minimum conversation steps of that user is 2, and the maximum conversation step is there 5. So if you ask me what's the conversation step, actually it's really important. Conversation step is this: if I say to bot hi and the bot answers hi, it's a one conversation step. It's really important because I can give an example. Think about an Uber chatbot app. Okay, if your conversation steps go to 50 conversation steps, it can be such bad user experience for you, and you can just either choose an Uber app rather than a chatbot. Okay, so you have to know your average conversation steps, and you have to dive deep to your conversations according to your conversation steps. And on the upper part, we're giving you some filtering options to dive deep to your conversations, okay? I'm giving some example. For example, people who follow at least 2-step conversations in maybe last hour, last 2 hours, or yesterday. And those people who have maybe total number of conversations bigger than 2. You can filter just these things. For the maybe Uber example, you can just say 50 to look at what kind of conversations are held in the 50. Okay, I'm just saying 2 for this example. I'm applying, and one conversation, one user coming. I'm clicking on this, and you are just diving deep to the conversation details. And the left part of the site, you are seeing the user details. The first scene of that user, the last scene of that user, the number of conversations and minimum and maximum conversation steps. And the right part of the site, you can reach the previous messages of that user. It's so simple. And you can just what's in the conversation, and if your bot sucks at some point, you can see it easily. And you can just look at the previous conversation. If there's some message templates, you can look at what user answers in there. At this page, for our premium members, we are giving a hybrid mode. At this conversation, a human rep can join the conversation and just open the hybrid mode on and jump on the conversation if your bot sucks. And after finishing the conversation, just he can turn off the hybrid mode off. It's just for our premium members. And let's move our activity page. In here, we are seeing a lot of graphs in here, and we can just look at our last month data. Actually, I love the button there, we can start there. You are seeing average conversation per user. It's really important. It's really important for your engagement, okay? If average conversation per user is increasing, then this means your engagement is increasing, okay? It starts with 3.4 and it ends with 4.6 like that. And what happened at April 22? April 22. It's 2.1. What happened there? Why your engagement sucks at some point? You just move on the conversation page and filter your conversations according to April 22 and see what's happened. What's happened to your conversations in that day. And for the left part of the slide, you are seeing average conversation steps per user. As you remember from the Uber case, if it goes to 50-step conversation, it can be a bad behavior for Uber users, right? So you have to know your average at this point, because it depends on the bot. So we can say, for this example, the average can be 12, and you are seeing some up and downs in here. But what happened at May 7? It's 19. Why your average conversation steps per user is 19? So you just move on the conversation page and filter your conversations and see the bottlenecks points or anything that your bot sucks. And we can move on the upper part. You are seeing basic user activity and conversation activity. It's such simple graphs. You have to check it out in a daily process. How's your user activity goes on? How's your conversational activity goes on? It's so simple, and I think you have to check it out in a daily process. And in the upper part, you are seeing such cool graph. It shows some correlation of your data. While your users are increasing, maybe your conversation steps per user may be decreasing, okay? Let's look at, for example, April 19. While your users are increasing, your conversation steps per users are decreasing. For the Uber case, it can be a bad case, but there may be some bad cases. You have to check it out, and if there's a problem, just move on the conversation page and maybe just open the hybrid mode and join the conversation. Let's move on to the retention part. Retention is important for chatbots because to integrate to chat with chatbot is so simple. Just you click the link and just start the conversation with chatbot. So, but what about the second day? They retained or not? And we give you such a 7-day retention graph, and you are seeing your user are retained or not. But we provide you such cool feature for the retention to analyze your user behaviors. At the upper part of the site, you can filter your conversations. For example, think about it. People who start with April 13 with following 5-step conversations may be less likely churnable to people who start with 10-step conversations. So it's really important. It shows your user behaviors. What kind of user behavior shows the retention? So according to that, you can enhance your conversational flow. Actually, these are basic features, and for our premium customers, we are providing segmentation and the funnels and hybrid mode. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So then, would this be more on the cohort analysis each single day?
People, for example, people who start to use your chatbot, for example, at April 13, and people who continues at the day 2 is 14%, at day 3 it's 36%. It goes like that. And the filtering option enables you to find the user behaviors. Yeah.
And so you mentioned premium features. Describe one or two of those
one is
premium features.
One is for the conversation page. It's really cool feature. As I said, you can reach out to previous conversations in here of the user, and you can open the hybrid mode. This hybrid mode enables you to human wrap, just join the conversation rather than your bot, and just communicate with your user. Then if the conversation stops, then you can close, the human wrap close the hybrid mode off. It's a cool feature because you cannot change the bot flow immediately. A human wrap should join the conversation at some point.
Okay, so you're calling that hybrid mode where the human user can start chatting.
Yeah, and for the other feature, actually, many of our members are using us with Mixed Panel. And when we ask them why are you using Mixed Panel, and they just say for segmentation of funnel. But there need to be defined segmentation of funnel as a conversational way. It shouldn't be such an tracking the events like that. It should be conversational. And so after that, we created segmentation of funnel for the premium members. And if you ask me or just request premium features, I can just demo it after the event. Yeah.
Okay. And then the platforms that you guys are supporting currently. Messaging platforms.
Yeah, actually, we are on Messenger, and for Slack, we are giving our Slack solutions for again some specific members, because we believe that Slack concept is much more different than the Messenger concept. You shouldn't show such a simple graph for the Slack. Slack, the concept is fully different. So we created a new version for Slack. It's not such that. And we are giving it to some premium customers again, but we will open it to public.
Great. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
We will then ask questions later to panel members. Thank you. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
Arte, do you want to? Yeah. So then, do we have tweets today? Okay. So let's see. So Chike is seeing if he finds a random tweet. And what we'll do is we'll select someone from the audience here, not from the live stream. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Yeah, choose a winner. Click the button. Sam, create. Look at that. Okay, there you go. Congratulations. Let me give you my contact info, and I'll send you the code, the discount code for the free ticket. Can we say, kudos, thanks, great, congratulations. Okay, Arte, how are you doing? Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hey everyone, I'm Arte, one of the co-founders of Dashbot. One of my other co-founders, Dennis, is right here. We'll be around for the rest of the day if you want to talk to us. Jesse, our third co-founder, isn't present. But you know, our background really is in analytics, in NLP. Two of us went to MIT, Dennis went to Cornell. We've all started and built companies, sold them before. What we're going to show you is some of the metrics on our platform. We launched about 4 months ago. We have over 530 customers on our platform. They range from Facebook, Slack, Kik, WeChat, web-based bots, anything. We have native support for things like Slack, Facebook, and Kik, and what that means you'll see here is some rich messaging we can show you, and then the generic API can be used for any conversational interface. What you're seeing right here is a Slack, reports around a Slack bot. It's a trivia bot, and it's actually the bot that Jesse and Dennis were working on prior to us all coming together. We had met up, and this is solving a problem that we ourselves had. Like, I came from the mobile analytics background, and when I was meeting with Jesse talking about this, looking into Slack, they were working on a bot and realized, hey, the analytics is really missing here. This is something that everyone needs, including ourselves. So sometimes people ask how this differs from traditional analytics. Like, why can't you just use something like Mixpanel or some other solution? It turns out there's 3 key reasons why. The first is the tracking mechanisms are completely different. Anything that's clickstream event-based tracking loses the richness of messaging. Second, the type of data coming in, it's all unstructured data. You're getting images, audio, location maps, but more importantly, you're getting users' own voice, their words. They're telling you exactly what they want from your bot and what they think of your bot, and often it's not very pleasant. It leads to different types of processing, and a good example of this is in the case of Slack. Slack actually allows you to have multi-user sessions, so more than one person can interact with the bot at the same time in the channel. So you'll see cases like that where you have more users than you have sessions. Slack also has this concept of teams. If you want to know who's using your bot, how often they're using it, you can see these are effectively the companies using your bot. You can actually go in and select a team, and then all the metrics will be based on that team. You know, we have the standard metrics that you see with everyone else, retention, that's how people come back, all that kind of stuff, engagement metrics. What's really neat though, and a little bit more interesting because this is a conversational interface, is seeing the messages going in and out. Like, what's your activity level here? This the message counts in and out. You can filter by message types, which I'll come back to in a second. But what's actually much more important are the messages themselves. Examining those, because this is how you can improve your bot right off the bat. We have multiple ways to get into this funnel. You can start with the messages sent in, the messages sent out from your bot, or you can go from the transcripts. In this case, what you're seeing here is when users type play categories into the Slack bot, what was the bot doing beforehand and what did it do after? And you can navigate this flow. And where this becomes really useful is for improving the AI effectiveness of your bot as well as the bot response effectiveness. So if you're looking at this being your error message, you know, what did the users type in beforehand, right? Your I don't know message or error message, you can see what they were doing beforehand, so now you can go back and add that support to your bot. You can actually get to this from transcripts too, like if we save all the transcripts. This is something that Slack and Kik don't provide. Facebook has a little bit of this stuff, but you can go in and see how people interacted with your bot, and you can use this as a jumping off point back into the funnel. So let me just find one here. We have a feedback loop inside the bot whenever someone finishes playing this game. What did you think of this round? So now you can see how other people answered this question, right? So this is another way to learn from it. So I mentioned how we support different platforms natively. If I show you in the case of Facebook, Facebook has richer messaging, so you can see effectively the templates, the cards, so you can do that same flow through. So when this card comes up, or this template, you know, what do people do most? So you can see the buttons they click. Like, you can also see in Facebook, you get demographic information, so you can see the breakdown of male versus female. You can see location and language information. You can see the top users and jump in to see all their past transcripts. So I was just doing this earlier when I was sitting here today. We support all the richness of messaging, so I sent in the location, sent in a Giphy. You can do the audio here. Even the video, I was trying to capture a video here when Andrew was speaking. So we don't just talk about doing live person takeover, we actually do it. That was one of our key premium features, and we're providing it right now for people, anyone can use it. So I can actually even show you it. I don't know, the Wi-Fi's here fast enough. So we do real-time processing. You can see here I'm interacting with the bot over on the left. I passed in the use button. You can see it's interacting real time. Everything's real time, 200 milliseconds or less. If I start interacting with the bot, how are you? You see that message coming through. So I can actually send a message out as if I'm the bot. And that message goes out to the user as if the bot sent it. Now, if I was to reply here, the bot is still interacting, the bot's going to pick that up. You don't really want that if you're doing a live takeover. So this is useful for, say you have an e-commerce bot or you're doing hotel bookings and the user's getting stuck, you can have an agent come in and help them. So if I pause the bot instead and say, you know, how are you? Now when I reply, the bot's no longer responding. And this doesn't have to be just something negative. Like a lot of people talk about in terms of customer service, something's going awry, and we can show you a sentiment here in a second. It doesn't just have to be something negative. It's it could be any different trigger points. So as you learn from the analytics, when conditions A, B, C, and D occur, that's right for inserting a live person in. You can even set up triggers that if someone says, hey, live agent or help or whatever it is, you can actually send someone over and alert them, bring them in. Just a couple last ones here. We support Kik too. So Kik also has a lot of rich messaging. Let me just reduce the time here. One of the neat things with bots, I told you about it's all unstructured data. A lot of times people don't realize the data that's coming in. Like I could filter here on images, and this is a bot that was meant to be for fun. It's just you chat with a virtual cat. So the downside is people started sending some rough images, so I have to be careful what I show you, but this one looks like a cat here. And so this might seem silly, you can see the cats were sent in. But where it actually gets useful is when you see the different types of content coming in. This gives you an opportunity to improve your bot also. We have one of Facebook launch partners on our platform. It's a weather-related bot. They saw a lot of images coming in. And usually, people were just saying, hey, what's the weather in San Francisco? What's the weather in New York? So why are they getting the images? They weren't responding to them. But once they saw the amount of images coming in, they started responding to those, and it created a personality for the bot, which increased engagement overall. Let me just show you one last thing. If you go back to our trivia one, we also provide things like sentiment analysis. In this case of the trivia game, it skews pretty negative because people get pretty upset when they don't know the answers to trivia questions. But we have all like what you call like common core type reporting, plus the bot specific metrics and the tools to take action. So you see the live person taking over, that's real, you can use it. We also have push notifications coming out. We have all the filtering around the different message types. We do conversion tracking. So one of the things that a lot of companies do is send out proactively messages to people to bring them back in to re-engage them. So we can show you that hey, you sent out X number of messages, Y were delivered, Z were clicked on, and AA were acted upon. So that's some of the stuff, and happy to talk to any of you guys. Dennis and I are both here.
Great. Thank you, Arte. A couple questions. So 3 platforms that you support. Kik, Facebook, Slack currently.
Yeah, so we say that we support them natively, and what that really means is some of the things I was showing you. Slack is the concept of teams, for instance. Facebook provides some different demographic data, but some support images and stickers and videos and all this. So the native support just means that we support that stuff. You could have an Alexa bot on this platform. We have people with all different types of bots, even homegrown web solutions on here. And it's super easy to integrate. It's basically the way it works. And this is we're talking about the differentiation with traditional analytics and something like this. It's meant to be super easy. You just send us a copy of every inbound message, every outbound message. It's all asynchronous, it's non-blocking. And we handle the rest. We're able to generate all these reports based on that. But it's just, if you wrote your bot in Node, it comes down to 3 lines of code. Include the NPM, send the inbound message, send the outbound message.
Thank you. And so when you look at your customer base or your user base, and if you divide between Facebook, Kik, Slack, what percentage would you say is Facebook bots currently? How many?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, as I mentioned, we have over 530 bots on the platform, and these are well known. We have the Facebook launch partner, we have AOL, a whole bunch of their bots, NBC, startups on the Slack, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. The way it breaks down is it's bordering 70% is Facebook, and it's the high 60s basically, and then high 20s bordering the 30 on Slack, and then the Kik and the others are all make up the rest, right?
And then
you can see how much we're processing real time.
Yeah, there you go, the messages.
Yeah,
do you have a freemium approach? Do you have a subscription plans for your product?
Yeah, so this what you're seeing here is the freemium model. This is all you can sign up. It's free. Just takes 2 seconds, email address, password, and this is all free. What we're monetizing is the live person takeover, an advanced version of that takes into account the alerts and integrates into existing third-party call center type tools. And then what we're calling re-engagement notifications, but are really push notifications.
push notifications for the user, the bot.
Yeah, so the bot developer. So it's actually interesting. You have to know how to do this, right? Like one of the bots on our platform, we have Red Foo of LMFAO, if you guys are familiar with that. And a couple of the other pretty popular bots. Some of these guys like to send messages out to their users. In the case of Facebook, they actually throttle you. And if you have to be careful how you do it for a couple of reasons. One, you don't want to send a message out to someone that's actually interacting with your bot right now because it makes the whole thing completely confusing. The other is if you hit those throttles, those rate limits, those messages start to bounce back to the users, and then your users are like, how come you exceeded the API limit? It doesn't make any sense to me. So you have to know how to do this correctly. So that's using our platform, we can do that, and we can also do it based on the actual data, so you can do audience segmentation. I want to reach out to the guys in Spain that used it once last week, right? Or I want to reach out to the person that did a search on in my bot, and 30 minutes later they still haven't acted upon it, so let's get them back because they might have gone over to somebody else's bot.
Great, thank you. That was great. So, thank you, Arun. Here we come, Aaron. We'll do one more demo and then we'll sit down and discuss topics, have questions from the audience. Some people might remember Nestor. It's one of the first Slack bots. Ask Nestor. And Aaron, you can describe a bit more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, great, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Andrew. As you mentioned, we are primarily bot builders ourselves. We built one of the first Slack bots out there, even before the platform was out, called Nestor, which is a programmable Slack bot. We are also curators of a weekly newsletter called Bot Weekly over at botweekly.com. So if you want to get a digest of all the news that is happening in messaging, bots, and AI, subscribe. We also do a fair bit of open source work. We built a bot on Kik called MoneyBot. This isn't on the bot store yet, but it's open source. So if you want to use this as a jumping point for your own bot, you're free to do so. And the most recent bot that we built is something called Card IQ that we launched on Facebook Messenger. We built this in conjunction with a company out of Y Combinator called Scale. Scale is, the way to think about it is Stripe, it's like Stripe-ified Mechanical Turk. So they have an army of humans doing tasks for you. So we built this, if you can see the video over here, this small little bot to which you can send pictures of your business cards, and it would transcribe them for you so that you can add them to your address book and follow up really quickly. So as kind of already mentioned, as bot builders ourselves, we face this problem of the existing tools not working for us. We've used Mixpanel before, and the biggest problem with tools such as Mixpanel and the whole event tracking paradigm is that with bots, you don't know ahead of time what those events are. You basically would have this bit like catch-all events which says message received or whatever, which is basically the same as tracking page views. Like, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. You actually want to capture the essence of the messages that are being sent to users, and which is why we built bot metrics. So this is an example of a dashboard. This is a dashboard with real data from Card IQ, the bot that we launched. You have all of the basic stuff, like messages to bot, from bot. User actions are buttons that a user might click while they interact with your bot. There's image uploads and videos and so on. But the one interesting thing that you probably noticed here was these dashboards, which don't really look standard. And this is where a platform, an analytics platform for bots really comes to the fore. Because we built our bot, we did all of the hard work, but as any product person knows, one of the most painstaking things of instrumenting your bot is adding like event tracking code all over the place to make sure like you've captured every occasion where your users interact with your application. We didn't have to do that. We just added a single line of code to our bot to do all of our measurement. And one of the biggest things, bot makers, that you will face is when people speak garbage to your bot, and your bot typically responds with a, I don't understand what you're saying, sorry, come back later, or whatever. So with bot metrics, you can set up what we call a custom dashboard. So this is something that you can do, once you don't have to do ahead of time, basically. So I'm just going to set up a custom dashboard for something which says, I don't know. And let me just make sure that I know what the message is. And I just say, don't understand that. And I'll set up a new dashboard. Right now we don't have retroactive dashboards yet, but that's coming soon. And as soon as you type a message that your bot doesn't understand, it responds with that, and then when you refresh your dashboard, you get that data to show that these are all the occasions where your bot failed, basically, and that's something that you should look into. We have an insights feature where you can kind of query about all the users that are using your bot, and where the insights feature really shines is in our notifications feature, where you can set up basically. So for example, for all the users that have interacted with your bot at least once, you want to find out the ones that haven't interacted, say, in the last 10 days. And this gives you a subset of the users. You can craft a message. And then once you've crafted the message, you can basically decide to send it immediately to all of them. You can set it up so that you send it once at a particular time and date. So this is useful when you have to do new feature announcements for your bot or new capabilities that your bot might possess. Or you can set up a recurring kind of drip messaging campaign. So anytime a user kind of falls in that bucket, it would send that message automatically to those users. So yeah, so I guess these are all table stakes, but we have, I think I can do already one better by saying we only need to do one place where you need to integrate code. You don't have to do it both incoming and outgoing. I'm just kidding. And we have SDKs for Node and Ruby and Go and an HTTP API too. One interesting thing that we also support is because we're handling users' messages, especially in the context of Slack, a lot of companies, their threshold for privacy and security is a lot higher because you're dealing with companies, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies that are using your bots, and you don't want that data to kind of, be sent out to random places. So we have bot metrics also available as an on-prem installation, so you can install it within your firewall, so you control all of the data. We don't see it or touch it at all. And we have a few customers who were insistent that we do that in order for them to use us. And so that's something that we built into the platform from day one. So yeah, I guess.
Great. And so what platforms, messaging platforms are you supporting currently?
This is a lie. We don't support Telegram and Amazon yet, but we do support Messenger, Slack, and Kik natively.
And do you have an idea, more or less, what percentage of users' bots are on each of those top three platforms?
Yeah. So we launched support for Facebook and Kik very recently, just in the last month, I think. We were primarily supporting Slack, but the interest in Facebook and Kik is definitely a lot higher, and that is sort of expected because the market is way bigger than the Slack bot market. Yeah.
Great. That's great. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I'm available later for any questions or anything. Thanks.
Great. Thanks. So, do you guys? If you guys want to join me up here, we can have a. Yeah, that works. We can have a conversation. I have some questions, and then we'll open up the audience. So, start thinking.
Definitely. So who's actually working on bots or has a bot right now? So what platforms? Who has Facebook? And then Slack. Anyone have Kick? No one have Kick?
All three.
Oh, you have all three? Yeah, so I just had to plug Kick. If you guys should check this out real quick. Facebook doesn't yet have a discovery, a store, and so we launched those little demo bots that talk to the cat. I launched it on Facebook a couple months ago just to have for demo purposes. After nearly 3.5 months, it has 30 users. They launched the same thing on Kick, again, just for demo purposes. After 2 weeks, 15,000 users. They have a bot store and Facebook doesn't. It's something to keep in mind. And there are brands on there too, CNN, Target, all these guys are building bots there too.
That discovery is definitely relevant. And in fact, we will have an event on discovery, Arte, because it is a topic that we keep on recurrently talk about, how do we find bots. Some platforms have a bot store and others like Facebook do that. So thank you guys for showing your products. It's great to keep on pushing the industry and getting data. The same happened with previous platforms. I had some prepared questions, but many of those we went through. What about different platforms like Microsoft Bot Builder, BotKit, frameworks that folks use to create bots? Does it make sense to integrate with those natively, or you're better off from an analytics standpoint to just let the developer pick their way to integrate?
So we've actually talked to a lot of the bot building platforms and basically talking about partnerships because they don't really have the full robust analytics as tools like this. And their customers that use them want these analytics, so they end up saying, hey, work with these guys. But no offense if anyone that's building a bot building platform, but if you look at what happened in the mobile world, a lot of those things got shaken out because they're relatively basic functionality. There are some that are much more robust, but when we talk to enterprise customers, some of them have tried those and then they just go back into building the bots themselves.
Well, you're saying it doesn't make a lot of sense, potentially?
It depends on which ones. Like there are some that have some well-known brands on them and they're doing really cool stuff. And then there's
frameworks.
These are actually bot build, there's frameworks like the BotKit, that's really useful. And Microsoft, I don't thought I'd used it, but Microsoft has theirs. But then there's the companies out there that, you can build and launch your bot on them.
Some hosted platforms.
Yeah.
And then any other thoughts around either hosted framework platforms to build bots or frameworks?
Yeah, actually most of our customers have some custom solutions. So because of this, it's getting easier to get such analytics. So we currently don't see any need about it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they're a good distribution channel. It's a good partner to have, especially people there are big brands. There are big brands that do use these things. Assist actually has some really good bots on them, like Fandango and the 1-800-Flowers and all these. I think they're all built by Assist. That's a pretty good platform. Then there's other ones out there, Massively, Reply. There's some really good ones out there.
So we're all about being developers ourselves. We're all about the developer experience. So most of these, I think the open source bot frameworks have middleware components. So we plug into their middleware. So there's very little code that you have to write to actually integrate if you're using things like BotKit and Bot Framework. I sort of disagree with Arte on the viability of these bigger bot platforms like Reply and Chatfuel and Gupshell and all these guys. I think the analogy from mobile might be the one, the better analogy might be companies like Parse, where because there was a server-side component that was required, and especially with bots, increasingly there's going to be requirements for artificial intelligence and machine learning where these platforms can plug into. So I'm definitely pretty bullish. I mean, the kind of like WYSIWYG editor stuff is pretty trivial, but I don't think that is the essence of these platforms. It's because they would keep your bot up all the time and make sure that it responds correctly.
So then the flexibility that you guys currently have, where a couple of lines of code allows you to integrate, that seems to be working. So what about creating an SDK so that folks can, I know Arun, you've done some of that. Does it make sense for your product or Botanalytics? A strategy of providing an SDK in a language?
We use the term SDK, but it's just a library. It's not the SDK in the sense of the mobile space where sometimes compiled or a bigger package. We have an NPM library where we do the bot integration NPM for that, and then there's a REST API, so you can really do whatever you like. But yeah, so we use the term SDK.
You use the term, yeah, that's good. Then top level. We went through web analytics, mobile analytics. Now that you guys are spending 100% of your time with bot analytics, one or two things that stand out as completely different paradigm from what you guys experienced in the past, either in mobility or web, and that is worth mentioning.
I think I'll hinted at this a bit. It's the unstructured data that web and mobile. A lot of it's a clickstream, event-based tracking. Where here, people are sending in different things: the audio, the video. But we really stress because it's conversation is it's their own words, right? They're saying this is what I want from your bot, and then this is what I think of your bot, but it doesn't necessarily deliver that. That's quite a bit different than clicking buttons or clicking links.
Yeah, actually, diving deep to the conversation is the main part. It's not just tracking an action event, right? You have to dive into the emojis, thumbs, audios, videos, and you have to give this sentiment to the customer. It's not about just tracking the events, action events. So it's just so much deeper. So
you can go deeper into the content of the intent of the user.
Yeah.
And so, for example, media, we're getting exposed to emojis, thumbs up, cat pictures, videos, audio. What's your sense on how much of that will continue to be used, and if the product needs to have capabilities in order to interpret and assist users admins to make decisions out of that? Use of media.
I fully agree that you should respond to these things. It makes your bot more engaging. We've seen it with our customers. We actually published a report about this, the different types of data that are coming in, and how people have made use of this. So the weather bot is talking about when they saw all the images coming in, and they start building that personality into their bot to respond to those things, and increases the engagement overall. I would respond to them.
Anyway, what about interpreting what that media has? What the image is, what...
So we do that for us, for our sentiment analysis actually takes into account some known images. Like, Facebook thumbs up actually means something, right? It's not just an image. So that gets factored into the sentiment, so it's not just text. One of the things later down the road is to look at the audio coming in. Can we just translate that to see what's actually said, or use some other third party that's doing image recognition to say what that image is. But at least for now, we're showing it, and people that make use of it to respond are seeing increased engagement.
Actually, we are studying on this because it's a big issue, okay? And my co-founder has master of computer vision, and we are trying to understand these images. We are starting, maybe there may be tags at the images. We are trying to understand how. And if it gives the emotion of the user to the customer, it's big. It's big.
Valuable. It's valuable.
Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to what Arte said. Like, it's not just unstructured data from the point of view of text being unstructured. It's unstructured data in that there's different types of inputs coming into your bot. Button clicks. There's a reason why we moved from DOS to Windows and Mac OS, right? Like, text by itself is not the most efficient way. So bot makers definitely find ways to improve user interfaces, and your analytics platform should be able to support all of that.
So that makes the analytics platform more sophisticated in order to interpret this. And what about terms? As years go by, we started creating words and terms for web analytics, mobile analytics. What do you guys feel you are knee-deep in this? What are new terms that we should be all aware of around analytics? For example, we saw conversations, you came up with conversation steps. These are all new terms that we're coming up and deciding what we need to use as an industry. So let's discuss a bit concepts that make sense to use when making decisions around an analytics product.
We call it conversational analytics because it's really any conversational interface. It doesn't have to be these bots that we're seeing like this. It could be the Alexa skills, basically any kind of conversational interface. This kind of reporting and the tools on top, more importantly, are really useful.
Great. So conversation, the term conversations. Then what about engagement? For example, DAUs over MAUs, that was a term that we started using with social and Facebook, and now we call that engagement. Does this apply to conversational analytics?
Yeah, actually, as I previously described at the demo, the concepts of the average conversation per user and the average conversation steps per user are great, and you have to check it out to see the engagement. And the retention part is most correlated with the engagement. So you have, if you analyze the retention with user behavior, you can understand the engagement better. But in the coming days, if you jump on the conversation, you can start more terms about this issue.
Okay. Go ahead.
I mean, I think it differs. I don't think we've seen the whole spectrum of what are the most useful bots. There are a lot of crap bots out there too. So like we need to. So for example, one bot that is extremely useful and extremely popular is the one made by Josh Browder, which fixes your parking tickets for you. So unless his user base is full of maniacs that get parking tickets every day, he doesn't really care about the daily active user number, because like people have a specific reason why they come to use the bot, and then they're done with the bot, right? And so it like the whole concept of like the active user depends definitely on the use case for the bot.
The use case, yeah.
That whole active user is actually pretty tricky, kind of interesting thing, because sometimes you hear people talk about the type of session, an engaged session versus a passive session, or active versus passive session, because it is all asynchronous. So you could send a message out to a user and they might not respond for hours later. So how do you define that session? It gets a little tricky. And how you define those types of users, especially there are a decent amount of bots that are doing those proactive outreaches to get people back in. So do you count that person as a user when you sent the message out? Or do you count them when they read the message? Do you count them when they came back in and started using the bot? And so all that gets kind of tricky, and you know, some bots treat that differently. That's something we go through trying to figure out with the bot developers, and you know, what's their model, what works for them, and what are we seeing for the industry.
For others, yeah. I think you wrote a piece on stats around text and usage. Yeah. Anything that you want to mention from that article?
I think it's actually really interesting. So when we talk about the unstructured stuff, just some of the things that come in, I was fascinated by the images coming in, and you know, launching that, it's a chat with the cat kind of fun bot, but you know, it started out that people were sending in photos of their cats too, and this is kind of fun. But seeing the types of images people send in, or the percentage that's images or non-text messages, I should say, and then the types of text messages that are coming through. So is that an event where the founder of Hipmunk had said people kept asking their bot to tell it a joke, and so they added that functionality to increase engagement. So I just took a quick look across our bots, and sure enough, you know, a decent amount of these Facebook bots were getting a similar question: tell me a joke or say something funny. You know, Dennis was just talking about the other day, where a lot of the bots are saying, you know, I love you, and we've seen that, like when we do the live person takeover, the interject, that trivia game we have has pretty decent usage, and sometimes you just jump in and interact with the players, and they're like, I love you, right? It's pretty.
So then on the human interaction, when I saw that feature on Dashbot, I thought, well, that's more of a functionality that the admin will interact with your product rather than collect data to interact. Where does an analytics product end and a functionality admin product start?
The difference here, one of the big difference here is we like analytics. We're using the data to build tools that take action on the data. That's really what we're doing. We see conversational data is super interesting to us because we find it really rich and super actionable. So that live person takeover is based on the analytics, whether you see in the negative sentiment of the session, so that could trigger sending somebody over, or you just learn over time that when certain conditions occur, condition A, B, C, and D, that's right for inserting a live person in. That's all better with the analytics instead of someone guessing, should I come in and do this or not? Same with, as mentioned, that audience, the re-engagement notifications. If you do it based on the audience segmentation and how people actually use your bot and respond to those messages, you're making use of the data. That's where it gets really powerful. So that's where we're really building the tools on top, making use of the data.
So what you're saying is there is not a strong limit between the analytics tool and what else?
Yeah, because this is, I mean,
different from before.
Yeah, and mobile, the mobile analytics one, there's primarily, we talk about this a lot, like mobile and web analytics, it's kind of showing you what happened in the past and hope you make some change in the future. With this, the conversational data, you can take action right away and improve the engagement and lead to conversion right away. You don't have to look at what happened yesterday, what happened last week, and let me see how I can make some sort of change. You just do it right there, right? That's what's so cool about this. And it's one of the few times when people talk about real-time analytics, like seeing how many new users you have that second, it doesn't really matter, right? But when you can use it to do your A/B test or do that live person takeover that helps someone get to whatever that success is, that's where it's actually really useful. And it,
actually, I would like to add some point on it. Actually, at Botanalytics, we believe that the analytics can be looked at differently. We believe that analytics and engagement should be automated by machine learning, machine intelligence. And while your users are churning, you don't have to take action. We have to take action for yourself and make them retained for the churning users. It should be automated as an AI bot. So we are making this for people, for customers. We are taking actions for themselves. I think analytics and engagement should go there. It should be more automated.
So given that what Arte was saying, or you're mentioning, the capability of taking action instantly allows the tool, the analytics tool, to take action automatically.
Yeah, your users are churning, and I have to take action for yourself to make them retained.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Have you included that in your?
For our premium customers, for corporates, we made it, and we will make it open in coming days. It's good.
Okay. By the way, yeah. So the neat thing when you have this corpus of data, it becomes super valuable. So you can do things like this, the true AI testing, like you're building a bot, you want to build, say, a travel bot, but what are kind of common standard messages travel bots get, so I know if I can handle this correctly, or I'm targeting a bot to the teenagers versus the 40-year-old businessman. When you have this large corpus of data, you can send sample messages of those types and see if your bot's ready. It's pretty neat stuff. And you can feed that right back into your AI engines too, so it improves it real time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the live takeover is a great feature, but it also needs to be handled very carefully because the mindset of the user when they're speaking to an automated agent is very different from when they know that they're speaking to a human. So if it's not handled correctly, it would lead to confusion or anger. Like even Slack has published very clear guidelines on, like, if there is a human takeover, you need to make it very explicit that from now onwards there's a human speaking to this. And a company that has done this really well is a Slack bot called Growbot that has the concept of an operator functionality, where you, at any point that you feel stuck, you say the word operator, it waits for a little while, and then a human comes and takes over the conversation. Where, like, if you kind of mix these metaphors between, like, what is a human and what is a neural net, deciphering what you're saying, it leads to confusion, I think.
Yeah, the user can be confused or frustrated, don't understand. Thank you for that. What about any questions from the audience?
Yeah, just to that topic.
Let me give you a mic.
Yes, thank you. To that topic of passing back and forth when an agent should jump in or not. Obviously, if they're online and they're available during their shift, they can jump in. But what's best practice for the bot when they're not on shift and you don't have people or agents available? Do you have to code that in your bot? Do you guys provide a capture or rules solution? Or do you have to just code the logic into the bot to say it's after hours, so we can't help you right now?
for the live takeover we have, it's you can set the what you see right there is you're going into our interface and interacting and all. Really, what we're working on to turn into more of a premium feature are those alerts. And when you talk to the enterprise folks that have call centers and they have a lot of their own, like whether it's Zendesk or some other solution they have. So our stuff's all API based. They can just integrate in. If you say you didn't have a solution like this, how you handle those I don't know messages is right up to the bot developer. I think that's what you're talking about. The middleware that's like NLP, AI, those are all super useful. And that's where you might use an analytics solution like this to see where the bot broke down, and then either train your AI for it or add those responses if you're not using AI. Like, just a total side note, a lot of people think the bot has to be AI. It turns out a lot of these bots aren't, and they're still really useful and really cool. There's a neat one, Pullstring has, we're interacting with this character, it's called Jesse Humani. There's no AI in it, it's just all Hollywood script writers, and it's just done really well. There's some neat stuff out there, and you look at like the Fandango and Pizza Hut, those don't really need to be AI, they're just really functional, and they're hitting people where they are instead of having to download an app.
Any comments from you guys on the question? No. Any other question from the audience?
Yeah, you mentioned, Aaron, I think you said that you showed an example of scheduled responses. I guess I'm curious for the other platforms if you guys have something similar.
Yeah, actually, we are on A/B testing. As in the mixed panel, you remember, you can easily create some push notifications, and you can make the simple A/B testing feature. We are getting on this. Yeah.
The scheduled messages, what we refer to it as re-engagement notifications, effectively push notification. That's the next big feature that we're rolling out. And it's really based on the analytics. So instead of just randomly sending, that's what I was talking about before. With you have to know, especially in the case of Facebook, when and how to send it, because first you don't want to step on the user if they're already interacting with the bot, and second they have throttling rules where they do or rate limit, I should say. They actually throttle you, and those error messages can bounce back to the user. It goes back to what I was saying before, where we really want to. Our tool is meant to be based on the data, so you can do the audience segmentation to figure out who you should reach out to. All those rules you can set up so it is in an automated way. One of the companies we're talking with, they have very specific re-engagement after a certain time period. If users did perform a search and didn't actually take action, within 30 minutes they want to re-engage them right then and there, not necessarily the people that haven't shown up in a week. But that's a big piece of our stuff.
Yeah, so Facebook has that. Slack hasn't. You can spam in Slack.
People were trying to spam on Facebook when they did the rule change there a bit. That helped clean that up a bit. But yeah, there's some crazy spam.
Yeah, right here.
Thank you. I'm not sure if any of you mentioned this, but do you have an API to export the analytics back to customers?
So we all the whole entire website is API, so we could expose it. We haven't exposed it publicly yet, but it's something that's come up a few times. So it's something we'll probably do. Just haven't figured out how we're going to do that and where it fits.
Coming very soon. Speak to me after that.
So if you guys are going to analyze the images or the sound files that the user sends, could you feed back the bot with that information?
Sure. So what you see right now is the different media types. So you know that there's a couple different things with, say, images. You can see over the messages that are sent in each day and each week what percentage of those were images versus the text or video or anything else. And then when you're looking at the top messages, you can filter based on the content type. So shown there, we can see just the images. And even you can do search. We have a search feature, so you can do all that. What we're not doing right now is actually processing what's inside the image, with the exception of known like emoticons and stickers, like the thumbs up and those kind of things. Because those all actually have IDs behind them, so it's you know it's a thumbs up.
Yeah, but I mean, if in real time you can feedback the bot, oh, this is this emoticon, this has this sentiment there. This
Oh yeah, the sentiment, everything that you saw there, that's all real time. Everything's processing it immediately. So the sentiment, we calculate sentiment at the message level, at the session level, and then on time interval level. So, what was the sentiment for your bot for that day or that week versus what was the sentiment of that particular message or that transcript? So when you view in the live transcripts, it's sortable by sentiment. And that the images there, you're not actually, the image, that's what we're saying, the known images with Facebook, those are effectively stickers and there's an ID behind it, so you know it's a thumbs up. You don't have to actually look at what the image is. You get an ID for it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Thank you. Any other question? Yeah. Okay.
It's commonly viewed that most bots today aren't terribly effective, and the ones that we love and that you have mentioned, we know about because personal experience or word of mouth or seeing them sort of from the outside in. Given that we have three analytics guys up here, I thought to ask, is there anything that you've gleaned from what's been working and not working within the structured and unstructured conversations that you're parsing, in the sense that there is a corpus of data that you've had the unique opportunity to see from bird's eye view?
Yeah,
anything you could share with us that is interesting, that's starting to pop out of things that are working and not?
Yeah, so we published a report about this a week or two back, and then VentureBeat reran it. But it talks about some of these things, like I was mentioning handling the images for one, or any kind of media type, instead of just ignoring it. With some bots, you send in the location map and they just ignore it, or you send in and it's funny because it'll say, where are you located? You send in the location map and then it ignores it, right? They're wanting you to type San Francisco. Or any of the different media types. If you start adding support for them, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, I know what was inside that image, but some kind of response, like, say cheese, or thanks for the picture. You start creating a personality for the bot, and that's where we saw increased engagement. There's actually a lift there. It's similar, if we start to look at the common messages, there's things that, it might sound kind of basic, but it's conversation, and people start the messages with hi and hello, right? But so 60-somewhere% of the bots are handling that. The other 30 or 40 aren't. That's an opportunity. Why not handle that? Because that's what people are typing in, right? Or help is up there fairly often. Or if someone types in help, do you support that, right? These are all ways to make the bot much more engaging and increase the overall things you guys are talking about, retention and all that. Yeah, it's all, yeah. Email you the link, or it's linked to you from our website. Everything's up there, yeah.
First of all, I think we're in like very, very early days of bots, which is why you haven't seen that many useful bots. Like similar to when we went from web to mobile, because mobile OSs and devices offered like huge leaps in terms of things that you can do with the user interfaces. Like you had a camera in your pocket, you had location data, you had accelerometer data, so you could play cool games and stuff. Those things are missing from bots today to a large extent. Like, in many ways, a bot is limited to a mobile app because you don't have access to a user's location unless they explicitly give it to you. The advantage that bots have today is that, and this is again variable from platform to platform, is that they know something about you. They know your name, they know your gender, where you're from, which apps didn't have. You still have a sign-up process for most mobile apps, which you don't need to do with bots. You just start talking to a bot immediately. That is something that is like the biggest advantage of bots going from mobile apps, whereas it's kind of an unfair comparison when you go from web to mobile, because like mobile has just way more better stuff to do for the user. Having said that, we've definitely noticed better engagement with bots on Slack. We don't know whether that's because we were primarily supporting Slack until a few weeks ago, but Slack just had a better, well thought out user interface. They were earlier on in the game than either Facebook or Kik. The biggest thing is that Slack bots have the ability for users to speak to a bot in a group setting, which Facebook doesn't have, which is a huge missed opportunity, I think. And that is like, at least within the context of Slack, that's where bots shine, because they either expose data to the user in a group setting, so everyone gets to see data about your organization, or you're able to perform actions in which there's kind of like an implicit audit log of what's going on that other people can see, which is why we've had great success with Nester being one of our bots, like still featured on the Slack App Store, and tons of people are using it every day, even though we just maintain it right now. We're not adding new features. But yeah, that's something that is.
Yeah, actually, in the coming years, we'll see a lot of examples. Just remember 2007, the iPhone released, and 2008, the App Store released. And you remember the apps at 2008, it's just iframes of websites, okay? In these days, it's like that for both. And the coming years, and maybe 2017, we'll see a lot of examples on that.
Yeah, basically what everyone's talking about, the thing that Facebook in particular is missing are the multi-user sessions. Kik has that, Slack, Telegram, a bunch of the other guys, and then that bot store. I mentioned that anecdotal story of just having the bot store, but imagine with the multi-user sessions, like people sometimes say, why would I use, what's the killer bot, right? But with a multi-user session, if you and your friend were already chatting with each other and you want to go to the movies or you want to go to a restaurant, instead of bouncing out to Yelp or bounce out to Fandango, you just go at Yelp, lunch, right? And it's just pulled in. Then it gets actually really useful. I think Facebook announcing the payments just like a day or two ago, that's also really helpful too. I think you will see the bots get better, just like you mentioned. At the beginning with mobile, some of them were, maybe not the best apps, but they get better. What you're talking about with the accelerometers and stuff, what I'm waiting to see is some really cool entertainment like games and bots. Because when you think about it, who would have ever thought that using this microphone could be part of a game? And then Smule created all these neat things around that. So what kind of neat games or entertainment bots can you make in this conversational interface?
That's entertainment. We enjoy entertainment. And next month in October we'll have an event.
Street
Rail. Yes, the street will be there. It's an entertainment one. We'll take a last question here.
You've mentioned that bots are still in their early days for what they're doing now. Where do you see it evolving in 3 to 5 years from now?
Well, we're super bullish on the conversational interfaces themselves, whether it's this form of bots that you're seeing through Facebook, or it's more of the Alexa. Like, I don't know how many of you guys have Alexas. Anyone have Alexas? But this thing's awesome, right? Like, when you think of it, going back to the iPhone, so our co-founder Jesse tells the story, and hopefully I don't completely butcher it. But when you think of when the iPhone first came out, all those videos of the little 2-year-old swiping the iPhone and the iPads, right? You're already seeing that happen with the Alexa. So he has a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they go, Alexa, play the Happy Dance. Alexa, play Star Wars. They already know how to interact with it. So I think that moving more, conversation is just so much more natural, whether it's via text or actual voice. We just really believe in this space. Yeah.
I think we all do up here. And down there, everyone.
Yeah, and completely agree with Arte. I think many people have said this, but like the biggest announcement from the Apple event a couple of weeks ago was the fact that they've now introduced a computer in your ear, which is going to be, the way that more and more people are going to interact with computers is through when everyone has a microphone and an earpiece that is so miniaturized and easy to use. That's going to, voice is going to be a huge part of the whole conversational UI.
The other part is I think the user part. We have been growing with searching Google and shopping after searching Google, but maybe 4 billion people are coming with Siri like that, okay? The users are shaping this kind of way.
Great. Well, I want to thank the panelists and for the time showing their products. Congratulations. So if you want to help me thank panelists. We want to thank Galvanize for the space and the food. That was great, John and team. And also want to thank O'Reilly for the free ticket for the bot day. If you have any topics or ideas that you want to discuss in future events, please find me after this one, and we'll look to schedule those so that we can continue to learn more about the space. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, thanks.